Hello everyone. Well, at last I'm ready to talk about something I've been working on for many weeks called ChartLab. And it is a way to assemble a customized symbol graphically. And I haven't seen anything like this anywhere else. If you have, let me know, because I'm curious if teeny tiny little Slope is once again the first one to do something, which is almost always the case. Then everybody else copies us like 2 years later. But let me know if you've seen anything like this before. We'll just jump into it. There's two ways to access ChartLab, and I will just mention it's only for platinum people. Why would that be? Well, they spend like $1,000 a year to be platinum, and God bless them, they need something nice. They deserve it. So that's why. But I'm showing everybody just so you see that Slope is not idle, and also, hey, some of you might consider, God forbid, signing up for a platinum account. So, hey, you platinum folks, right now, you can either right click on the chart and choose ChartLab, or you can go to the tools menu and choose ChartLab. It's the exact same thing. And it'll bring up this cool little dialog box. Now, it's pretty straightforward to use. Over here on the left side, you have these blocks, which you can drag and drop into this workspace. And just take a simple example. Let's say I wanted to see the spy divided by the cubes. So this it's already got, just as a starter, it's got a symbol block in there. And I could drag a math function over there, which I'll change to divide. And I'll drag another symbol over there, which will make the cubes like so. And we can preview it. And there's the chart. Okay, big deal, right? Well, obviously that's the most vanilla, basic, boring example I can possibly give, because, you know, you can likewise create, and I'll just paste it in here, quite complex items like this sucker right here, which is the fabled Fed spread. And within here, you see a number of things. First of all, it's nested, so you can put chunks of formula. Think of them like, you can see the parentheses up here. This is just a way of nesting items. So you can have like independent chunks of the formula. So like, you know, this chunk is added to this chunk, which is divided by 1,000. And in turn, that's divided by 1.1, etc. So you can get quite complex here. And then you subtracting 1625 from it. So there's this big ass formula here, which is shown in this very graphical manner. We'll just clear that again to show you what these other blocks are all about. So add container is basically, as I inelegantly put it, just sort of a chunk. You don't need that at all. For a simple item, you can just use the default container. And while we're at it, I'll just show you that to get rid of something, you just drag it to the trash can and bang, it's gone. I've shown you symbol already, which is just a free-form way of entering a symbol like so. Number input is just a number. It shows you 1 by default, but it could be 500, it could be negative 9,000, whatever you like. Is essentially a way to apply a constant figure to a formula. The math function, which you've also seen, basically is just plus, minus, times, and divided by. And as I said earlier, the add container just allows you to have, you know, things within you know, as nested items within the larger formula. Now, the other block I didn't mention, which is kind of the coolest one, sort of my favorite, is this economics one. And this allows you to access the incredibly gigantic economics database. So I'll just, let me just think of something, let's say like, I'll just type the word inflation. And so it shows all kinds of possibilities that might be germane to that. And I could click on a choice. And here's the really fun part. We've come up with this idea of alias. And so let's say that instead of FR : Fed funds, I would really prefer just like FF to be the way this is represented, and it shows up like that. Or let's choose another example. Let's see, BTFP. That I've already done. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. Let's do unemployment. And unemployment rate and I might just call that jobless or something like that. But some of these economic symbols get very bizarre. For example, my favorite Yellen creation, of course, is the this BTFP program, whose symbol is FRH wonderful blah 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 blah. This is ridiculous. And how much nicer it would be just to call the damn thing BTFP, right? Because that makes it, and I've already created it, so it's saying that. But it just makes it a lot more clear to see in the formula. Because if you're looking at a giant formula and you see this, it's gonna be like, what? If you see this, it's like, oh, the old biddy, yeah, I remember her. She set up this criminal fraud program for her friends, the BTFP, aha. Simple, right? That's the alias. And as you create those aliases, they'll show up here as my economic elements, so that in the future, I could just type in FF or BTFP or reserve or jobless or something like that, and those are preserved as my own personal library of aliases, if that's the proper plural. Finally, of course, once you've gone to all this hard work of creating something, you'll probably want to save it instead of doing it again. So that's where you would click Save As, and you could preserve that. And I've done that already here as a personal symbol, like Fed spread. And this crazy ass formula is here, and you can describe it like so. Now, I've only got one in here right now, but you can imagine a long list of various symbols you've created, because this is basically a different way of creating personal symbols. It's just a more elegant graphical way of doing it. And I'll also mention as an aside, you've got this access to colors, so that if you would prefer something else in the background to make things easier to read or see, looks like a whole Pac-Man game, you can do that. And of course, it'll remember whatever your settings are. That's a rather hideous choice, but you can see what I'm getting at. And of course, at any time, you can click Preview to see what it is precisely you're looking at. And the genesis incident, and I'll just close with this, the genesis of this idea was I wanted to essentially experiment and mess around and change, and it was very inelegant to do that with something this hideous, and I wanted to do it in a graphical format. And so you can mess around, preview, and perhaps stumble upon something extraordinary, especially if you're using layered charts. So that's it. This is the beta version of this. I'm sure there's probably a bug or two, and I'm even more sure there's an enhancement or two. Write to me. Don't just mention it in comments, because I'm not going to see it. Send me a note. I'll be delighted to see what your ideas are. So anyway, hope you like this.